It's a pleasure to be here. How are we doing this afternoon? Please, I need responses in the comment section. How are you doing this afternoon? Let me know I'm not alone.
Yeah, feel free to react. Feel free to drop a comment in the chat box. I know the weather has us a bit confused these days. I think we're supposed to be it's supposed to be Hamatan, right?
Hi, Lamide. Good afternoon. Hi, Ola. I'm just gonna stay a while in the comment section. Hi, Edis. Hi, Hadibayo. I love that. Hi, good to know we are good. Hi, Daniel. Yeah, good to know you're doing fine. All right. Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. How is work going? So again, I understand that the salary we can do a lot of things on our desk. So I'll just jump right in. Yeah, thank you so much, Edith. I'll just jump right in. Let me try to share my screen, colleagues, because sometimes it looks like we want to give to everyone and we are really not getting it back. So when we have an opportunity to share like this, I'm always very glad to just walk us through something. So before I go on, I'm just going to make some disclaimer. So again, I believe that I have a lot of learned colleagues here. So some of the things I'll be sharing will serve as a reminder to some, and for some people it will be a fresher. So I'll just say that let's be open-minded. I'm open to your contributions. If I'm saying anything that you do not understand or you need more clarity, or please feel free to slide into the comment section and let me know so that I can pause on that. So today on Thrive series, we'll be talking about understanding automated payroll. What are the best practices in the modern world of work? So the first thing here is to ask who is in charge of payroll, like whose responsibility is payroll, right? So our learning outcomes for today so I've heard a lot of people ask, oh, is it a finance function? Is it HR function? So we'll be buttressing on that. Now, what does it mean to be a this day HR? What is the impact of automated payroll on employer and employee? Understanding here that as an employer, as an HR personnel, you are somewhat in between, meaning that you can't be for just one person, so you are for both parties. So how does this impact both parties as a middle person? What are the payroll technicalities? And the heck of payroll. So just slide in and ask. So I'm just going to read this story.
Elanka, can you hear me? Okay, so I think somebody, I don't think they can hear you. There's a comment in the chat box that they cannot hear.
Okay, so
can we get reactions, please?
Can we please confirm if everyone else can hear me? Please let me, I'm writing the comments.
We can hear you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so can we get more people? Like, I can hear you. Okay,
I can hear you, ma. I can hear you, ma.
Okay,
yes,
so Kadli.
I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. Kadli, I think it might be your network. Sorry about that.
You might have to log out and log back in. I think that will work.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. So yes, we'll just continue, right? So again, the first question is HR function. Is the payroll, is it HR or finance function? And I'm just going to read, and you can please read along this story from Bamboo HR, which is one nightmare payout, like talks about nightmare payouts. So I'll just read through. A $2.5 million settlement would send chills down any company's spine. Like, so let me just try to translate this in Naira. So imagine if you have to pay, that would be billions, right? Anybody that's very good in mathematics should please try to convert this for me, right? So a company is going to pay in billions actually as settlement. So settlement is there's been arbitration and the employee has sued the organization. And what they are saying is that so the summary of all of this payout is to say that the employee feels that the employer did not do justice to his or her payroll. So they're saying now that he has them to not clock in until their laptops are booted. So it's not about when you step into the working premises, which has to do with policies, right? And here we have the Fair Labor Standard Act. according to whatever country they are working on. So the summary of all of these things is to say that if your HR or your payroll function is not doing well, you can land the organization in serious trouble. So the question of who should be the one to handle it, I feel the next slide just going to talk about that. So talking about HR and finance function, I would use the analogy of food business, right? So the chef here is the HR who has to, first of all, understand the needs of their potential clients. They have to source for all the things they need to buy. They have to get into the kitchen, get their hands dirty. While the finance team are like the waiters, they are the ones that would serve actually the employees. So as HR, we need to first of all understand that it is a contribution, it is a synergy. Payroll is a synergy between the HR and the finance, and the bulk of the work is with the HR, right? Because again, looking at that oral story I just read to us, you will see that when the company is paying these settlements, I'm sure that the whole HR team is going to get a lot of backlash. Some people don't get fired, right? Because if you see here, it says the service rep claimed that they were regularly working up to 3 of the clock hours each week, right? So they are saying now it's not necessarily a payroll error. So it's a policy thing, right? Their hours are uncounted for. So imagine a place where you have to get to the organization and they are telling you that if your laptop is not well booted, you cannot clock in. Or if you've not done some certain tasks, probably you've not done your daily stand-up, you cannot clock in. So between the hours of you getting into work and firing your laptops or doing your daily stand-up, you would have lost like some 30, 40 minutes, right? So that's a policy problem. So here you need to understand that the role of HR in payroll is very critical. And if you're not getting it right, if there's any backlash, the company is coming back for you. So that said, what does it mean to be a this day HR? What does it mean to be HR in this relevant time? So we all know that post-pandemic, there's been a lot of disruption in the world of work. And for you to be a relevant business manager, you have to pay keen attention to compensation, because again, compensation is like the meat of everything everyone does in a company. Yes, we want to do a lot of other things like engagement, let them feel good, let them do. But again, they're not getting good pay. I'm sure you know what will happen, right? So let's look at a few trends that has erupted from post-pandemic. And these are just few statistics here and there that shows us what it is this day and this time. So the first one says that approximately 72% of employees would face financial hardship if their paychecks were delayed for a week. So permit me to tell you that it's not even a week, right? I know I was once working in a place whereby the payday has been announced, and because the salary came in at the close of business that day, you need to see the heat around the people, like HR alpha, HR also. So this saying that a week is exaggerated, right? If it's delayed by one day, there would be financial hardship, and you don't want your people going through that kind of stress, which also lays back on the next point, which says that 65% of employees live from paycheck to paycheck. So again, they've already calculated that day. That's their own end of the month, from the last paycheck to the next paycheck. So you have to be really on your game when it comes to payroll management. So I'm not going to run through all of this. I think you can grab this on your phone just so that you have an idea, right? So I'll pick one more which says that 80% of millennials want to work abroad, right? So these are things that you need to begin to figure in as a people manager, to understand that you are not just working with people that are in your country. There are people that are prospective people that want to go abroad, and there are a lot of things that is required of them. Okay, so I was just trying to catch up with the comments. Now, that being emphasized, what is now the impact of having an A-game payroll management? Remember, we said that people want to travel abroad. And again, because of pandemic, there's already something about people working cross geography. To say that you're in Nigeria and you're working in another country. So it's now, before it used to look like it was impossible, but right now we see it everywhere. So what are the benefits when your payroll management is again for the employer? So it saves you cost on arbitration. Remember the first thing, or the oral story. Imagine the number of millions or billions that the company has to pay just because someone did a policy that did not work. So as an employer, you have to really, you need to let your employer know that they need to step up their game on payroll management. So sometimes you might need to take extra training, buy some stuff just so that you can get your payroll game well. So these are the things you want to share with your employer, to tell them that, hey, if you don't get this thing right, the money you don't want us to spend now, you might spend it on arbitration if we are not doing the right thing. The second thing is reduced attrition rate. So attrition rate has to do with how people are leaving your organization. So now that people are, the world is globalized, you want to do things that are right, right? And I'm sure that by the time we start looking at the technicalities of composition of payroll, you will understand why you have to have a kind of pay system that works for people. So again, increase employee engagement. I've mentioned that earlier, regardless of what strategies, learning and development, total motivation, engagement, there's no other thing you are doing in an organization. One thing that would always top the chart for reward is employee pay. So if you get your pay system right, you are going to have more people who want to work with you. So employer branding. One of the things, so I'll just flip back here to say that, okay, employer referrals are top source for quality hires. Recruiting to your employer networks can expand your talent pool by 10 times. So, which also goes up to say that the number of days it takes to hire talent. Now, employer branding speaks to your people being able to tell other people that we are recruiting. And the way your current employees speak about your company says a lot. So if they're not feeling good about you, if they don't get all they need, it will impact on how they promote you or demote your brand. So again, you want to be a global talent market player, because now someone has a friend. Again, another statistics here talks about platforms like TikTok and LinkedIn influencing people on their career. They are telling them what to do. So you don't need to travel abroad to see some people's faces. You have friends that are, working everywhere. So you need to put yourself on that pedestal whereby you can begin to compete globally on your best practices. So employee. So when people want to travel, one of the things they ask them to bring is their 6 months pay. Whether you give it to them or not, they would always want it. So what would be the gain for them to now start doctoring pay slips because they don't want the HR to know about it, that I want to be, all of those things, it's their rights. Just let them have access to it. Now there's career progression. When we talk about pay grade, you will see, or pay structure, you will see that they know of a truth that, okay, this is where I am, this is where I can be, which gives them rest. It helps them stay loyal to you. There is increased job satisfaction. And again, they're able to compete globally because of the best practices. So now all of that established, you are looking at what are the payroll technicalities. And now we want to talk about a couple of things. So I have grouped this into 3 major things. The first one is your pre-payroll. The next one is the payroll itself. And the last one is post-payroll. Now, when it comes to pre-payroll, what are the things you need to do? So remember I said the HR is like the chair when it comes to payments. So what are the things you need to do? The first thing we want to look at is your total reward strategy. Again, whatever you're paying your people, there is what we call cost to company. And the next slide is going to show us those things, right? There's something called cost to company. You have to not just look at one factor to say, okay, this is how I'm compensating people. So as HR, you need to find out how to go about that. What are the statutory deductions? Now, we are getting to a stage in Nigeria that you can't evade taxes anymore. There are a lot of things you want to do, and they would ask you to get your tax clearance. Even if you are trying to travel today and you want to get your basic travel allowance or your personal travel allowance, any which one, you would be asked for your tax clearance. So again, it's very important. You need to understand the salary structure, like we said. you need to understand the pay grades. Now, when you are running the payroll itself, that it comes to, so it will be a combination of the pay grade, the deductions, and the payables. I'm going to further buttress that. And now, post payroll. So when you do your payment, right, how are you communicating to them? So some people don't even get alert on their phones because they're trying to curb their spending ability. So how are you as a company notifying them? So paying them is not enough. You need to notify them that you've paid them, and they also need to get their pay slips. So I'll start with the total reward strategy. Looking at this, you would see the HR strategy, the influences. So if you look at the statistics that we started off with, we talked about the number of youths that are being influenced by TikTok, by LinkedIn. So if you look at the influences, you see the social norms, you see regulatory, you see AI and tech, you see product market, you see labor market. Now, all of these things are things that has a this day HR. These are the best practices that you need to begin to look at. What strategy do you want to use? What is your culture like? What's your workforce? What's the inclusion? What's the leadership style? All of these things would now come to compensation. How do you compensate people? So there's a flow that talks about salary structure. We'll still get there. Now, what is their well-being like? What is the benefit? So if you take all of this one after the other, there's a cost it has on the company. So the compensation might be what they are getting for a start, maybe the salary you are paying them. Now, if you're looking at their well-being, you're looking at probably their medical insurance, both physical health and mental health. Now, the company is going to pay some amount to get this done. So if you're looking at compensation, right, you're also looking at what will it cost the company to have well-being, the well-being of their people sorted out. What kind of benefits are you giving to them? Are you paying their managers, drivers? Are you giving them perks if they are going on leave? They have access to XYZ amount for flights and other things. What kind of benefits are you giving? So again, when you're looking at paying people, you're not just talking about the salary alone. There are other things you need to look at. Development. So this is learning and development, right? Do you have training budgets? Do you have training allowance? How are you deploying those things? So these are the things you factor in your pay before you now come to say, oh, this is how much you want to pay this person. Recognition, how do you recognize people? So some companies go as far as giving award plaques and all of those things. Some people even go as far as buying tangible products to their customers or their employees in this place just to recognize their work. So as HR, all of these things are things that you need to sit down and do your maths well, calculate them, and begin to now find a way to present it to the management in a way that they understand the business relevance, right? Now, what happens when all of this thing is done? People have workplace experience, there's performance. So you hear things like, I want to work. So there are some companies now that I won't mention, but if you hear them that they are recruiting, no matter how much you're in your organization, you still want to stretch forth your next day. I want to work with these people. And these are the things that come together to form a total reward strategy. So they can have the kind of experience that they can come on Twitter and say, my organization did this. Like, God, when? Again, for the organization, you now see performance. Because all of these things forms motivation. Now, I talked about statutory deductions. What are the examples? So these are the things you also need to find out. Payee. Now, payee is pay as you earn and is a compulsory deduction that comes from the tax office. So we have the two kinds of, in Nigeria right now, we have two kinds of tax structure. We have the federal payment system, tax assessment, we call them FIRS, and we have the states. For Lagos State, we have LRS, so that's Lagos Internal Revenue Service. Then for FIRS is the Federal Internal Revenue Services. So now, for the way it is, all your company VAT, everything that the company is making as an organization, taxes that are deducted from them goes to the federal government. But the deductions of your employee goes to the state government. So you need to know that there's a difference between the taxation on the company income and the taxation on the employee income. And this is one of the things that you pay to your state governors, right? And which is the very one is payee. So payee is for employee. And there are laws to these things. So now this is where you need to now speak with your accountant to find out the payment schedule for each state that you are working in. You need to know. So these things are not cast in stone. There's like grade. They'll tell you if you're earning from maybe 0 to 20,000, you pay maybe 3%. These are just, I won't give you exact figures because these things change from time to time and is also state dependent. So you need to work with your accountant or your finance person to be up to date on what your pay should be like and you factor it into your payment system, right? So pension, this is also very compulsory in Nigeria. And basic salary, transport. So again, these are things. There's a employer contribution, there's an employee contribution. You need to know this thing. So for the employee is 10%, for the employer is 8%. Now, staff loan, these are benefits, right? Not all organizations have what we call staff loan. Some organizations are even going the extra mile to have what we call end wage access, whereby people can get a percentage of what they are earning before time. So these are kind of benefits that you want to consider. National Housing Scheme, because NHIS, like, oh, no, that's health scheme. NHS is National Housing Scheme. If you are working in a federal parastatal or a state parastatal, these are the things that you want to consider. Life assurance, health scheme. So again, going back to the benefit we talked about, if you're already running HMO for your people, you might not need NHIS anymore. So for some organizations that have a union, they have their union dues. You can see here. So this again is an example. What the first two are like in Nigeria right now, they're like the most compulsory things you have to pay for your employee, which is their pay and their pension. So now, salary structure. These are also the things that are pre-payroll. You need to determine the salary structure. So you can't just say, I will pay this person XYZ. So this is like a walkthrough to take you through salary structure. So what are the steps? According to IHR, it says that, okay, define the job roles and responsibilities, conduct the job analysis, right? Want to know how much this role is earning across board so that you're not working in isolation. Want to determine the job worth. Like, again, the analysis will provide you insights that tells you about the job worth. Want to research market rates. How much are your competitors paying? Because one of the things I know we mentioned post-pandemic is increase in talent war, meaning that there are a lot of people fighting for talent. Now, I'm going to quickly make a pause here to say, I've had people tell me, you guys say there's talent war, and we have very high unemployment rate in Nigeria. What's the correlation? So unemployment rate, people that are in the unemployed spectrum, I beg to say that they are not talents. Talents are A-gamers. They are people that join your organization, and in the space of a very short time, you begin to see radical. Is someone saying something? Okay, so in the short while, you begin to see radical improvement in your organization. So these people are technically sound. Their soft skills are also very sound. So they are like all encompassing. So they are not talent. So these talents are rare. There are a lot of people, but the talents are rare. So again, you want to research the market rate to be sure that you are retaining your key talent. I'm also going to mention that depending on your organization or your industry, you need to identify your key talents. There are some talents that if they decide to leave your organization just like without notice, right, you would affect your job offering a whole lot. Those are key talents. When you identify them, you need to also begin to be like a replacement or succession planning for them, right? So don't let them catch you unawares. So again, when you research market rates for these people, you're able to know what to give them, at least to keep them. And in case they want to leave, there's a backup for you. Now, define pay grades. I'm still going to share something about pay grades in the next slide. But pay grades is about you knowing what to pay each person. So I'm going to show you like a composition of, so we have composition of pay grade, which is part of the pay slip, which talks about the basic salary, transport allowance, and all of that. But one thing that is very distinctive with pay grades is that People need to know. So this is also very common in civil service. You will hear things like level 3, step 2, level 3, step 3. So it's just knowing that when you're in this stage of the company, this is how much you're in. I think that's a simple definition of pay grade. So you're trying to categorize people's payments according to their expertise and the industry delivery. So again, if you are if you're a finance person and you're in level 1, grade 1, level 1, for instance, your pay might necessarily not be the same as a cybersecurity person in level 1, grade 1. Do you understand now? But you will not, you can't say that if you have not done your market research, because the industry pays cybersecurity more because of the risk involved in their job. Not that if those guys compromise, especially for companies like fintechs, that they have a lot of people's money, or banking system, if their cybersecurity personnel just flinches like this, something will go wrong and they'll be in a lot of debt. So those guys pay a lot to earn their certifications, and they also pay them a lot as well. So these are the things you need to know. You need to define pay grade per job to know that, okay, for this department, this is the pay grade. You also want, like, there has to be transparency, and that's why you have pay grades, right? Now, you need to establish salary ranges. So again, we've talked about pay grade. You should know that, okay, there is a particular range. So if you're looking at your pay grade, so that you don't confuse yourself, you can say that for level 1, you have 3 steps or 4 steps. Then they have ranges. So level 1, grade or grade. Now let me use grade 1. So grade 1, then the salary ranges might be, maybe let me take this as an example. Let's say your grade 1 ends 100 to 150,000 naira. Now, if you're establishing salary ranges, that means you say, okay, grade 1, level 1, 100,000. Grade 1, level 2. So depending on how you want to spill it, right? If you want someone to earn 105, that might be grade 1, level 2, 110,000 naira. Grade 1, level 3, 150,000. Grade 1, level 6. So you now establish the ranges, but you know that, okay, if you're on this pay grade, you are between this range to this range. I hope you understand that. So that kind of help you. Imagine we talked about career progression. When you do this, people know that, okay, right now I'm on grade 1, level 1. If at the end of 6 months, depending on when you do your performance appraisal, if it's biannual or annually, they know that, okay, when I get my performance appraisal done, I'm moving 1 step forward or 2 steps forward, as it might be. So they understand. So even if they are in a particular role, they are moving up in grades. So they can be let me use a technical salesperson, for instance. They might be a technical sales expert, level 1, level 2, level 3. So they know that they are progressing. It's not that they're just there 5 years and it's looking like nothing has happened. Again, you want to ensure compliance. You want to, all of these things you've established, you want to take it back to the books, right? You want to go back and look at what the employment law says in your region. If you're in Nigeria, I know NECA has a compilation that talks about employment laws. You may want to get it. So you are checking through all of these things to say that, are we? So if you look at, again, the first story I shared, it talked about not complying to the laws of the land, and that was why they had so much charges. So again, all of this will now help you to develop a salary structure. Volume is very faint. Oh, please confirm if my volume is very faint, although I'm trying to increase.
I can hear you perfectly from here, but
Okay. All right. So
can you speak again? Let's confirm that they can. Let Priscilla confirm that it's better now.
Is it better now? Okay. So okay, I'll just go ahead.
Yeah. I think you
increase
should.
my volume. All right. So again, so this is like a pay grade chart. This is like a sample. So if you look at this, these steps inside the pay grades are often related to experience and performance, right? And the pay grade is often related to the level of job responsibility and authority. So remember, I talked about probably a technical sales specialist. So a technical sales specialist can be on pay grade 1, and you have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. You can see the progression. Now, a technical sales expert. Now, so specialist, expert, then probably manager. Now you can see these things. So as they are growing in their level of job responsibility and authority, their pay grade increases. But again, based on their experience and performance. So if you set a performance of maybe 50,000 naira, I'm just going to use very basic figures, right? For someone in pay grade 1, which is a technical sales, let's say intern at level 1. And at the end of the month, the person did like 200% or 300% over a period of months or years. So that person might just go to step 3. So you also have clear policies to say that, okay, for you to move to the next step, you need to have this amount of performance. So if you have 50% of your performance, or if you have 100% of your performance, you'll move by 1 step. If it's 200, you move by 3 steps. So all of these things gives a kind of clear directive to the organization. There's no man. There's no favoritism. Everybody just kind of understand how they are earning, and it makes your organization, okay, it's better at your hand. Thank you, Jamie, for the feedback. So again, these are the things you want to pay attention to as HR personnel. Do your pay grade, know how to compete, know how to, so even if you are running a 5-man business, right? If people know that if I do well after 6 months, I'm going to get, even if it's 1,000 extra, there's going to be a level of commitment and a sense of growth in them. All right, so one other thing I mentioned in the previous chat was a pay slip, right? So you can do this, you can go on different platforms to get your pay slip, but you have to, it's your responsibility to deliver pay slips to your people, right? It's your responsibility. You need to find a way to get that done. And this is like, it's really a haircut. So I'm running you through like an analog kind of payroll. So if you want to do payroll, this is what you're expected. So if you want to run payroll in a week, this is like your workflow, like a workflow, like a payroll workflow. Yeah. So you want to start by, remember we've talked about your policies, right? Again, it is not very okay. I'll say this to us, right? It's not very okay for you to use salaries as, or deductions as, a disciplinary measure. Okay, is there an acceptable system of determining the gap between pay grades and pay ranges? So, Priscilla, this is where your market analysis come into play. You have to know what other people are doing, and you now benchmark it with your company offering. So, acceptable system. No one can tell you that increase people's salary every 3 months or increase it by XYZ. Depending on your profitability and the culture of the organization. But you need to know what that level is. So again, let's look at technical sales specialists, for instance. If an intern in technical sales is earning 50,000 in your organization, you want to look around and see what your competitors are giving them and see what your company can offer. So you have to do your market analysis to be able to determine that, okay, this is what it is. So I won't want you to box yourself to say, oh, this is a system that I should use. But if you follow through the processes, I don't know if we are giving out these slides to our participants, but if not, I can just go back so that you can munch, just screen munch this thing to see. So if you look at this sample, the progression here is by 2,000 for pay grade 1, 30K, 32K, 34K, 36K. So you might, is again what you want to decide with the management to say that how often do we want to, or what rate are we increasing people, or are we increasing people's pay, right? So you can munch this. Let me look for, again, the salary structure here. So you might want to look at this. Remember, we've talked about all of these things. Conduct a job analysis. This part is very, very important. Determine the job worth. Research market rates. Once you're able to do 1, 2, 3, it would inform your pay grade and it will help you establish salary ranges. Yeah. I hope I've answered that. If not, please let me know. I'll just take it once I'm having my Q&A session. So again, from the human resources, So I was talking about, it's not being a standard or very nice thing to do by making people pay for everything they do. So HRs they are not police officers, right? That's stand at the door and be looking for the next offense to deduct salaries from. It's not right. But however, because we are people, sometimes the most painful disciplinary action is to get some people to pay. So I'm not going to say do this, don't do this, but you need to now go back to your policies, right? So it says complete entering of employee info. So you're trying to do this manually. You want to check. I just wish the session is recorded. The volume is so low. Wow. Have you tried increasing the volume of your earpiece or something? Yes, it's being recorded, but again, I'm not at liberty to share.
Yes. So let me just quickly come in there. You will get a recording of the session after we are done here. You definitely will get a recording.
Okay, so I think some questions are popping in now, Casey.
Okay.
So I'll just run through this, then we'll take the questions together. I hope that is fine.
Okay, so how it's going to work is that when you're done, then after the session with you and Oyinlola, we'll take all the questions at once, then move to the breakout rooms, so it doesn't disrupt.
Okay, so please note the questions down for me while I just run through this salary workflow. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you. So again, you want to now start. So I'm talking about an analog process now, right? So imagine one of the things we said is that have a payday. So if you want to see by your payday, that means you are trying to do this for like a week. Imagine you are handling 3,000 people. So complete entry new employee info. So you have new people that are onboarding. You have 3-4 of them. You have to go and look out for all their salaries, go back to the letters to ensure that everything is fine. That's if you are using normal Excel, right? Are they all correct? If not, you would have to correct them, and that might take you a number of days. All right, so again, this is like for advanced places where they use periods to pay, maybe a particular number of months. So some organizations will say that they will not pay you if you've not submitted all your reports and all of those things. So the employee has their own quota to play. So for people that are in the sales team, probably they have sales bonuses they want to request for. They are doing all of that, right? The manager here is still going to be like from the human resources. You want to review and approve everything. So who's telling us something? Okay. You want to review and approve all of these things to know that, okay, everything they have there is right. So if someone says that they want to get expense claim for transportation or something, you want to go back and check if it's really worth it and they're not hyping prices. You want to approve for people that use overtime, you want to check and approve overtime. Now, doing all of these things manually, imagine you're doing it for 3,000 people and you have like 300 sales team. You have to go over it and check one after the other. Now you're coming to the payroll. You want to review the competencies, all of the things they've said. Have all the employees reported what they are supposed to do? If yes, then you can start reviewing. If no, you have to start contacting them to say, you have not done this, you have not done that. Another thing that is also a part of payroll that I mentioned while the payroll is deductions, right? Let's go back to that slide. So when you look at deductions here, deductions come in form of loans, in forms of policies like disciplinary policies, in forms of taxes and everything. So let me just use this analogy. You have 3,000 employees, like I said, and maybe a 5% of them took salary advances before now. That means you are processing loans for 150 people. So you are checking with the finance, you are going back to your meals to take a track of all of the things all of the loans that they've received. Then you have to start calculating them. As this person, so they say that I want 100,000 payable in 5 months. Now say, okay, 100 divided by 5. You are doing all of those things with your Excel and your journal all together. And you have to ensure that you are not overpaying people or underpaying people. So it looks like in Nigeria, people are not going to court. But again, there is arbitration increasing rate in Nigeria. So all of these things, you have to be sure. So you have to do it for all of those 150 people, right? Then you have to contact the employees who didn't report their hours. You check, have you paid overtime? You contact the employee. So you can see a lot of checking, going back and forth. Overtime, okay, yes. Once you do all of that, you now do. So that means you take a lot of time to put all your works together. You now go for batch processing. Then you now send the data to the payroll processor, probably via your Excel sheets and all of that. When they get it, they will check, is the error, are there errors? Are there no errors? Then they will proceed to payment. So let me just ask us, imagine you are doing this for 3,000 people. How long do you think, how many days do you think it will take you? I want our feedback now. Or if what you have in your organization is different from this, let me know.
Please let us interact.
We are ending this particular session shortly, so let's just get feedback. How long do you think all of this period, all of these processes I've said? That means if you are doing your due process, how long do you think an average time? Or now we are HR professionals. What is the average time it takes you to run? For me, to take a week, 1 week is fine for this process.
Okay.
More than 1 week.
We're getting some responses.
Yes, more than 1 week. So we have 3 people. Ishaku says a week is fine for this process. Jamil says for him, it will take a week. Vivian says more than a week. Eddie says a week, right? So that was why I said a heck of salary week. So I do salary processing in 10, let me not exaggerate, let me say 2 hours a week. Okay. I do my own payroll management that puts all of this workflow. Emmanuel to said a week. Thank you. So I do. So this is like the analog thing, right? But for me, because I use an automated payroll, remember what we said was understanding automated payroll a week. Okay, so Paul says is a week, which is great. So again, we have a lot of people on this call corroborating that an average analog payroll system takes us like a week or more. So imagine you trying to run your payroll and there is a disciplinary or there's an urgent people issue at work and you have to step in and do some disciplinary hearing, panel discussion, query back and forth. Now you can't pen those things because people's life are at stake and you still want to get their pay to them. So it makes HR work very cumbersome. So like I said, for me, I've run payroll in 30 minutes and all of these processes have been taken care of. I've run payroll in 1 hour, I've run payroll in 2 hours. So I am just going to, at this point, hand over to Lola to just show us how you can have a digital or automated payroll that allows you to run smoothly, have more time for more strategic human resources functions. Thank you so much for your time. So again, all the questions, I'm going to take them once Oyinlola is done showing us through the automated.
All right. Thank you so much, Lainka. That was so educative. Thank you very much. Just before another colleague of mine only comes to show you the automated part of everything that Lainka has tried to explain to us, I want to quickly let us know that after the session is done, it is optional, but there's going to be, we're going to have 2 breakout rooms. After the session is done and we've answered some questions, we're going to answer about 4 questions before moving to the breakout rooms. One of the breakout rooms is going to be the consultation room, where if you have any questions about payroll, whether on what Lainka has already explained, or maybe some things that she didn't touch on, you join the room and she would answer whatever concerns, she will address whatever concerns you have. The second room, on the other hand, is going to be based off what my colleague is going to come and show you based on paid. It's going to be for anybody that has questions or interest in understanding better about how paid helps you process your payroll. And if you have questions or if you have any unique processes that you'd want to share, maybe if you have some reservations, we are going to be answering all of that question in the other room. Thank you very much again, Lainka. I think what really stood out to me in your discussion is the analysis that should be conducted before picking salaries, for choosing salaries and deciding on how to pay different talents. Because I think it was part of your statistics also. It is very important that HRs understand that most of the best talents they get is from referrals. And your employees won't be referring your company, won't be referring friends to your company if they don't get paid adequately or if they have issues with your payment schedule or something. Thank you very much again. So immediately I'll be bringing in Olawale, sorry, our customer success expert. She knows where it hurts and she knows exactly how to address it. And I'm sure she'll be touching all of that today with her own presentation on how automation can help your payroll be better with the case study being paid. So Oyin, over to you.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you very much. Yes, you mentioned that I'll be sharing a presentation. I'm literally going into the product, showing you how it works in real time. So this is like a live demonstration. I'm really excited because this is my favorite part of paid. It helps my HR pay us or pay me on time. So I'm really excited about payroll. I will be sharing my screen now. Like I said, I will be diving right into the products. Okay. All right, please, can you confirm that you can see my screen, Kirsty? I think I can from my end, but
Yeah, we can see your screen. Oyin. Yep,
all
we're
right.
excited.
Okay. Let's just add this. All right. So this is my dashboard. I just logged into my paid account, but I'll be diving right into payroll. Again, my dashboard has a lot of things that I'm just, things that I have to do right on it, right? So payroll, when LDA or Lainka was explaining things that how to run payroll, who is the person that really manages payroll? Is it the HR or is it the finance person, right? And she made an analogy where she said the HR can be the chef, while let's think of the HR as the chef and let's think of the finance person as the waiter. So on paid, all of that relationship can be managed where the HR prepares the compensation, what the payroll should look like. And then the finance person comes to approve and say, hey, okay, this payroll that you've created looks okay, looks nice, right? So all of that marriage or all of that relationship can be built on paid, since all your employees are unpaid anyway. So the finance person is also there. I'm just going to show you something we call approval workflows. And your approval workflows is just to say, okay, in this payroll, who approves it? What is the flow? So you see in this demonstration organization, the first person that approves payroll is the lead people operations, and then the next person that approves it is the head of finance. So this means that once the lead people operations sees the payroll, they approve it, immediately the head of finance also gets an email to say, hey, this payroll is waiting for your approval. The timestamp is there. There's a reminder so that even if you are carried away, even if the approval is carried away, they are immediately told what to do. Okay, so I'm going to go to the payroll function. Please, if you have any questions, please don't forget to just put it on the chat box, and Casey is moderating, so we're able to know that we are following. Okay, so this is the payroll. This is what my payroll looks like. In this organization, we paid in June. There's an analytics tool for you to see, okay, how much did you exactly pay? What was the disbursed payments, and what was the total payroll? Laika was also explaining statutory deductions, right? So sometimes maybe you've paid what employees' net is, and you've not exactly paid that statutory deduction. So from even seeing this dashboard, you already know that, oh, we paid lesser than what our total payroll was. And you agree with me that what your employees take home is actually not what it costs the company. The company is still paying their tax, still paying the contribution for their pension, for organizations that do that. I can also see what my total payment was the last time I ran payroll. Is this difference. Did it go down or did it go higher? I can also see all the payroll that I'm yet to submit. Again, this is a demo account, so happens that they have a lot of payrolls. I'm sure the employees in this organization are not happy. Okay, so again, in that diagram that we just saw, where it will manually take you 1 week to actually run payroll, because you still have deductions, you still have maybe bonuses, additions, and things like that to add. That's why we have something called payroll changes. So payroll changes helps you manage employee bonuses, claims, expense claims that they have requested for, rewards or deductions. So this is automatically charged to your payroll. And the good thing about payroll changes on paid is they can be taxed, and they can be untaxed too. So if you have things like maybe a housing grant that you want to be taxed, you can actually do that. So I'll be talking more about this when you join my breakout room after this session. We also have a feature called skip employees, and skip employees just means that if there's a payroll, maybe someone is on an unpaid leave, for example, right? It's just 2 months that they are going to be unpaid for, and the third month they are going to. So you don't want to remove them from payroll. They are not out of the company. So we have this feature that helps you skip those employees for that period that you've decided. We'll also be elaborating more on that. I only have 10 minutes, so I just want to go right into it. So let's go right into manage payroll records. Okay, so on that to review, I already have this September 1 to 30th payroll that I'm supposed to pay. The deadline, so the payment schedule here is monthly. You can have as many types of payroll. Some people pay bi-weekly, monthly, so the payment schedule here is showing that it's monthly. The payroll type also says is regular. This is because, again, unpaid, one cool thing is that you can have 2 payrolls that are running concurrently in a month. So you can have a regular payroll that, it's the payroll that has your statutory deductions. And you can also have an off-cycle payroll that is probably a bonus or an addition that is paid monthly, separate from their regular payroll. So this regular just indicates that this organization, for this month of September, they are paying a regular payroll. The pay period, again, is just saying what payroll are we paying, September 1 to 30th. And then what's the deadline, which is already set up, is that, I need to pay my people September 30th. And on their pay slips, they would get that they were paid on the 30th of September. Now, the status is reading that this is pending review, so nobody has approved it, and it's pending the lead people operations review. Now, for this demonstration, I am going to act as the first approver and the second approver. So right now, as the leads people operations review, I already got an email, and that email says, come and approve this. So I come here, I click this, I view it. Okay. And what then happens is I have a breakdown of what my employees take home, which is very important, right? So you can see it's broken down into what my employees worked and take home and what my company pays. So again, obviously what my company pays will be higher than what my employees are taking home. And here I can even see the name of the employees, their pay grade name, their net pay, what they pay in tax, any deductions that they may have, and then the country contributions, which is the statutory deductions, and what the subtotal is, right? Right from this step, if you think that, oh, you still need to think about it, you still need to check, dot your T's, cross your I's, you can download a summary. So if you click on this, please confirm you can still see my screen. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Screen sharing. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
So, I clicked on a summary, so you want to see everything right to the T, all of the deductions, allowances. It's in a spreadsheet format. It has all of the information that you need. If you, as the HR, need to share with your finance team, I am sure if there's anybody that's in finance on this call would love this sheet, right? And the cool thing is that you can also download it as a CSV file. So you're not only just viewing it, you can download and share with the right persons that you want to share it with. So I'm going to go back to paid. Okay, so once that is done, you are okay, you are fine with your payroll, all you have to do is review payroll. Now I can decide to check what my last payroll looks like. I can also look at who is reviewing it or who is not reviewing it. I can do that as well. Variance here means that I want to check what did I pay last month. If you see a discrepancy or maybe a sudden increase, you can quickly check what did we pay last month for, what did we pay last month and we're not paying this month. Why is our payroll different? So all of these tools is for you to, the first slide when LDA was presenting was that, it can cost you a lot. If your payroll goes wrong, it's a problem. Okay, I will just go to review payroll. Now, when you are reviewing payroll, you can either approve or you can say, oh, there's a reason or there's something I want to decline. For the purpose of this demonstration, I would be approving this payroll. Okay, so I've approved this payroll, and then notice that something changed. Is there anybody that can quickly tell me, did anything change here? If you are following, there might be like maybe some incentive behind this question. I don't know. So if anyone that wants to respond to my question.
Hi, everyone. So Onya just asked what has changed after she approved. What's the difference on this page? Feel free to give us your answers. You can unmute your mic and tell us your answers. You can leave
Good
a text
afternoon.
for us in the chat box. All right. Good afternoon.
My name is Yemisi. The status
Hi,
changed
Yemisi.
from a head of operation to pending head of finance for review.
Thank you very much, Yemisi. That was very
Thank you very
observant.
much, Yemisi. I think Light also replied
Okay.
in the chat box. Okay, yes. Change to head of finance.
All right, thank you. So I just wanted to buttress the point that, it's taking note of the approval workflow. So now lead people operations has done their part. Now this second person will get an email telling them that, it's time for you to approve. If you don't approve, the payroll will not get paid, things like that. So again, if I were the head of finance, I would just come right here from my email. I'm getting the link to come right here to finish the approval process. So same thing that the first person did, this person is also going to do that. They can also cancel it if something does not look right. And if they cancel it, all parties involved would also get an email that this person canceled this payroll. And the reason would also be there, stating that they canceled it because of this reason. So once you get that email, you can now check, okay, what did I do that, or what can I do differently, or why is it not correct, for instance. Now, what has changed here is that I have reviewed this. It is no longer under this tab that says to review because I have now approved it. So it means that I will no longer be seeing it under to review. I will just go straight to approved. So I click on approved and I will see a lot of payrolls here. Again, this is a demo account, but we were working on the September 1 to 30th payroll. So now it's approved and now I need to pay. And the good thing about paid is a 360, right? You create your employee, you onboard your employee, and when you want to compensate them, you create their pay grade that captures their compensation accurately. The next thing is that you run payroll. And the last process is that you actually pay the monies to their accounts that they've set up and they've said, okay, this is my bank account. This is where I want to receive my salaries. And that's why we have the wallet feature on paid. And the wallet is like a virtual wallet that houses your payroll amount so that when you finish creating your payroll, we're able to disburse to all of your employees and they get it within no time. Just the way you do a bank transfer, they get their monies or their salaries rather straight into their accounts. No issues, no 1 week processing really. And I know LDA says sometimes it takes her 2 hours. And to be honest, I think that she was just being generous and sometimes it could take her less than that. I'm sure she would agree with me. So now this payroll is under approved. I need to process it. I need to pay to people's account. I've approved it as the HR. Everybody involved has approved. So now let me process it. Let people make their payments, right? So I go here to say, click on view. And now what I'm doing is creating a payment schedule. I am not reviewing or approving. So I click on create payment schedule. And what I'm supposed to see next is that, you've created the payment schedule created successfully. Now view this payment schedule that I just created. Okay. While this is loading, this is what my payment schedule looks like. Now, Nelson Williams, this is what his salary is. This is his account number. This is how much. This is the status. It's new because I've not done anything. Once I've paid, it will change to what the status is: succeeded, failed, pending, things like that. And then I remember just on the call right now, LDA was talking about statutory deductions. And on paid, you can pay your people, you can remit your tax, remit your pension directly to your PFAs, your employees' PFAs, and to your tax station, where even when employees who are registered, for instance, in the LIRS, they can see an up-to-date report that they were paying their tax, or their organization is paying tax for them. And all of these things just motivates your colleagues who are employees of the organization to stay within the organization. It motivates them that the company, is paying for things for them, because I like that, my pension is being paid for, and when I retire, I have certain amount of money, that has been allocated to me to enjoy my retirement, I hope. So again, going back to your payouts, right? All you have to do is batch select the payments. Even right from here, you can say, okay, I don't want to pay Wale yet, for instance, right? I can just remove him, and say, okay, Wale is going to be paid after. Maybe Wale is the founder and, we don't want to pay him yet. You can always remove and come back here to process the ones that you removed, right? So this is just for payouts. You have the tax summary as well, which has, specified for this organization. Some people are in the Akonjo office. Some people don't pay tax. That's why they are under unspecified tax office. And you also have your pension summary. So every PFAs and the amount of money. So for FCMB now, there might be just 2 people under FCMB. I know that as a company, I am paying 30,000 Naira to FCMB for 3 of our employees. And the good thing is that you can also download your reports. You can download, you can prepare your schedule and download that report. We are very big on, reporting, and as a HR or HR professional, bulk of your jobs is to, directly have all the documents that you can have. All your documentation analytics is very key, and that's what we've replicated at Pay to, take off that manual Excel sheet, going back to a Google sheet. All your reports are detailed and accurate. So going back to payouts, like I mentioned, once you've batch selected all of the employees that are going to be paid in this round, you click on process selected payments. Now, process selected payments telling you that, paid will debit your wallet, because your wallet has been earlier credited with the payroll amount, which is even here, right? And so you click on direct deposit and then click on process. So I don't want to click on process now so that I don't send money to all of these people in this organization, these account numbers. But that's all. Once you've done this, within the next 10 minutes, your employees are getting their salaries. And you can always come back here to say, okay, this has changed from stock, this is pending. So you have control over, you can tell from here, oh, this is pending, this has not been sent. Okay, I know that this person has not gotten their pay. You refresh and see, okay, this is successful, or this has failed. Why has this failed? Does this person have an incorrect account number, or why is this failing? So all of this is how, you pay your people. You use payroll in an automated way, and hopefully you don't spend 1 week trying to manually do payroll changes, add deductions and things like that. So we've come to the end of this demonstration. I would be in the breakout room for more. and to say more, to show more rather. I would like to show more. Thank you very much, and I will be taking questions after this. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Oyin. I think from everything that you managed to say in this very short time that you had, one thing that is very clear is that what pay does is reduce the time you spend on payroll. So from the regular 1 week you are used to, it is way reduced to like a few clicks, and you have everybody happy and everybody gets their salaries, that your payments are dispersed and stuff. The only thing you need to do is the onboarding, which just takes a few days to get every of your information on the system, and it just takes over from there. So thank you so much, Wayne. So we have very limited time now, so take just like 4 questions. If you have other questions, or if your questions are not answered here, don't forget we have the breakout rooms, 2 breakout rooms. Only would be in the breakout room 2, basically talking about more about paid and how paid helps your payroll. So if you have any question around the presentation she just did now and it is not answered here, we would like for you to join the breakout room and ask her the questions. It's going to be very interactive also. Also, LDA will be taking the other breakout room, which is breakout room 1, which is everything consultation on payroll. So maybe it's not about paid, maybe you just want to know more about how to handle your payroll. LDA would be, by LDA I mean Lainka, sorry, we call her LDA here at the office. So LDA will be answering all of your questions in the consultation room, which is room 1. So I think we'll just take 2 questions each, right? We'll just take 2 questions for OE and 2 questions for LDA. So starting with the closest one, Onyola, why can't we have everyone processed at once instead of doing it in batches, especially when the staff are much?
Okay, so I don't know what I was sharing, and so the view is that you can see 100 people at once, right? Once you're in that view and trying to pay. So you can select 100 people, or you can select everyone. So the reason why we want to be careful is because it's payments, right? So you don't want to, and on one, you can see 500 people on one page, right? So we want you to see it in batches to make sure that, as what you're paying is actually correct at each point. You want to be very sure. And that's why you can only see in 100 at once, right? So I hope I'm able to answer that question, Mrs. Edith.
All right. So Ngozi's question is, does it automatically calculate the statutory deductions? So, but I think Edith already answered her, which is very nice. So that means we are carrying everybody along and everybody is involved in what we are trying to do here. So Edith says that once you have the right percentage for each of the deductions, it does it automatically. I mean, Edith is right. Yeah?
Yes, correct.
All right. Then so we'll just take 2 more questions for LDA. Okay. So LDA, are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
All right. Okay. Number 1 question, please. How can one determine when an employee that is not in a department where KPI can be measured in number, e.g., sales, is due for a pay adjustment, or is it only by appraisal? So I think what Alheri is trying to find out here is if you cannot measure, if you cannot measure a particular
I get the
employee's
question.
KPI. Okay, all right then. Okay,
Okay, so
before LDA answers, sorry, LDA, before LDA answers, I want to say that this is second episode of Tribe, and in our first episode of Tribe, we actually went in depth on performance, and we discussed OKRs and we discussed KPIs. So I would also love to refer you, after she's done answering your question, I'll also love to refer you to our YouTube, where you can see these videos, the recordings of the previous Thrive session. It's paid HCM on YouTube. Just search and you see it. Okay. Over to you,
thank you
Lainka.
so much, Stella. So again, I would like to say that there is no team that their performance cannot be measured. However, performance measurement is in stages, and that's why it's called measurement. There are technicalities to performance management. beyond what we see. So if you're not able to measure some certain things, it's because you have to increase your knowledge around how to. So I think Casey already mentioned it well, that we talked extensively about performance management last week or last month. So you want to, Casey, you can please help by posting, or anyone help by posting the link, the straight link where they can just click right on the chat room and get to that point. So again, I'm also on LinkedIn as Lainka, because it's a lot that we can't begin to talk about here. But I just want to first of all let everyone know that there is no performance that cannot be measured. You just need to understand the job, understand the nitty-gritty of the job, and kind of calibrate the job based on output. So sometimes sales is very easy to measure because we give them targets in thousands. But some processes can be measured in percentage. And those are also the things that we have on pay. So you can measure in numbers, you can measure in percentage, and you can measure in figures. So for some tasks, there are no number to it. But for instance, okay, let me just use an admin task. I think that was the last analogy I used as well. So if you're trying to, okay, let me use a HR task. You want to create a learning and development strategy for your organization, right? Now you now need to sit down and break it down to say that if I want to do a learning and development, if my key result is to have a learning and development strategy to be alive in our organization, how do I go about it? It will now be in phases. The first phase is for you to go back and do your research and know how or what modality of learning and development you want to use for organization. The second one is doing a budget. The third thing would be getting the learning needs of every other person. And the last one might be, so it might not be in the same order, to get the approval of the management to implement. And post-implementation, you cannot begin to measure. So if you want to measure this, you can say that this thing, I'm breaking it out into 4, which are the key results that you will see, or which are the tasks that I want to. So if you are able to go at the back to get all the nitty-gritties you need about learning and development, you tell yourself that, okay, I'm 25% done on the learning and development strategy implementation. When you get the learning budget, you finalize with the vendors, you are through with all of those external parties, you can say I'm 50% done. If you get the management approval, because again, all of these things, they happen with a series of tasks. So if at the end of the day, back and forth, you get an approval from the management, you can say, okay, I'm 75% done. Finally, if you're able to get the learning needs of the people and communicate, you can now say I'm 100% done on the implementation of learning and development strategy. So can you see that? So you need to now find a way. So once you understand what you're trying to get, the objective, you need to now calibrate the objective based on milestones to now apportion a percentage to those things, right? So I hope I'm able to give like a brief analogy of how to measure that kind of performance. But again, if you're still not very clear, you have to go back to our previous thing, or just reach out to me on LinkedIn, and probably with 1 or 2 hours, we should be able to figure it out.
All right, thank you so much. Like I think I already shared the link to the previous session on the group. Please feel free to click and learn more about performance. So right about now, you'll be seeing a poll on your screen. So the idea of the poll is to basically understand how you feel about this session. Did you enjoy it? Would you want us to do this again? So please, it's a very short poll. A colleague of mine will be sharing very soon. Please feel free to pick your answers. Thank you very much, everyone, for staying with us way past our closing mark. Really do appreciate for being so interactive. Okay, please. Yeah, I see that we have some other questions for both Lainka and Oyi. So what will happen is you will also be joining breakout room now. So as I already said, we have 2 breakout rooms, and You'll be seeing them very soon on your screen after we're done with the poll. We're just going to keep the poll about a minute. So by 2:22, we'll be breaking out into 2 different rooms. The first one is consultation on everything payroll. Any other questions you have about payroll, about anything that LDA has said, or anything that she did not say, you can join her in that room and she'll push you through. The second room is going to be on paid. Do you want to better understand how to automate your payroll processes on paid? Only will be in that room to answer all of your questions and speak with you and understand your concerns and provide you with answers. All right, thank you so much for staying with us till now. By exactly 2:22, you would see the breakout rooms on your screen, and you are encouraged to please join whichever you are interested in with your questions. That's what we are here for. All right, so can we have the breakout rooms now, please? Can you please confirm if you can see the breakout rooms? All right, so thank you again. And also we have Thrive every other time. You're getting emails from us every time there's a new episode of Thrive, and we hope to see you again. For those that can, for the last one, we hope to continue to see you in the upcoming sessions. And for those who are joining us the first time, I already shared the link to the previous episode. We hope you can join us again next time.